Welcome back to MRI Knee Made Easy series. So in my last video, I described about the general imaging features of anterior cruciate ligament and posterior cruciate ligament tears. And now in this video, I will be showing you some cases having characteristic imaging appearance of the ACL and PCL tear. So starting with our first case, this is a case of a 43-year-old female who suffered knee trauma 2 days back. So let's see. So we follow our protocol of reading the MRI knee. So first we will see the skeletal structures. The patella is normal. Lower end of femur is also normal. There is some amount of marrow edema seen in the medial femoral condyle, and there is marrow edema in the posteromedial tibial plateau, and there is marrow edema in the posterolateral tibial plateau. Okay, and there is gross joint diffusion seen here, extending into the suprapatellar joint recess. There is subcutaneous edema anterior to the patella and patellar tendon, which is pointing towards acute trauma. Now coming to the cruciate ligament. So in the expected location of the anterior cruciate ligament, we are not able to see any hypointense normal ligament tissue. So the anterior cruciate ligament is completely replaced by this inhomogeneous hyperintense area, and we are not able to see any tibial or femoral attachment of the anterior cruciate ligament. So the anterior cruciate ligament is completely torn. Let's confirm this in the coronal and axial plane. So you can see this is the normal posterior cruciate ligament, and this is the anterior cruciate ligament, which is completely torn. So this is posterior cruciate ligament, and this is the anterior cruciate ligament, which is completely replaced by the torn tissue. So there is complete tear of anterior cruciate ligament. Posterior cruciate ligament is relatively normal. It is hypointense. Now coming to the menisci. So let's see lateral meniscus. So in lateral meniscus, you can see that there is a linear hyperintensity in the posterior horn, which has an oblique course. Let's see in coronal plane. So there is a horizontal plus vertical component of the tear, and it is reaching the inferior articular surface. So there is a complex tear involving the posterior horn of lateral meniscus. So here is the horizontal component, and there is a small parameniscal cyst is also seen in communication with the horizontal tear. So there is a complex tear involving the posterior horn and body of lateral meniscus. Coming to the medial meniscus, there is a slight extrusion of the body of medial meniscus. So there is some extrusion in the body, and this is the region of the posterior horn of medial meniscus, and we can see that there is a complex tear involving the superior leaflet of the posterior horn, and there is a flap component extending into the intercondylar notch, but it is still attached with the meniscal tissue. Then there is a flap component attached with this area, and it is extending into the meniscofemoral recess. So there is a complex tear involving the posterior horn of medial meniscus. sagittal plane. So this is the area. We can see that there is a loss of meniscal tissue here. And there is corresponding marrow edema underlying it in the tibial plateau. And we can also see that there is gross meniscocapsular separation here. So in this region, which is the area of posteromedial corner, so the meniscocapsular separation is present, and there is sprain in the posterior joint capsule. Let's see it in axial plane. So here we can see, so this is the medial collateral ligament, and this is the area of posterior oblique and oblique popliteal ligament, and they are replaced by the hyperintense areas. So there is sprain or tear involving the posteromedial corner structures. Then there is a sprain involving the medial patellar retinaculum. And there is tear in the deep component of the medial collateral ligament. So we cannot see the meniscofemoral and meniscotibial component of the deep medial collateral ligament, and they are completely torn. Superficial medial collateral ligament is intact and it is hypointense. The medial patellofemoral ligament is also intact. Now let's see the posterolateral corner structures. So we can see that the area of posterolateral corner is showing areas of hyperintensity on PD fat cells. So there is edema in the posterolateral corner, and we are not able to see a very distinct popliteofibular ligament here. And there is edema along the myotendinous junction of the popliteus muscle. So there is trauma involving the posterolateral corner structure as well. So these are the important secondary features that we need to report along with the ACL trauma. There is no obvious anterior translation of tibia in this case. So let's sum up this case. So we have acute ACL tear, complete tear, plus there is effusion, and there is complex tear involving the posterior horn of medial meniscus and lateral meniscus. Then there is the sprain involving the posteromedial and posterolateral corner structures. There is tear involving the deep component of medial collateral ligament. So all these findings will go in the impression. Coming to next case. Okay, so this is a case of 39-year-old male who were presented with knee pain following trauma after 2 days. So as we can see, first starting with the skeletal structures. So there is marrow edema in the posterolateral tibial plateau, which is the characteristic location when there is pivot shift injury. So there is edema here in the posterolateral tibial plateau, and there is subtle edema in the medial femoral condyle is also seen. There is gross joint effusion, and there is subcutaneous edema anterior to the patellar tendon. Then the anterior cruciate ligament. We can see the tibial attachment of the ACL, but it is not following its normal course. So when we draw a Blumenstadt line, then it is not following the normal course, it is not going towards the femur. So the femoral attachment of the anterior cruciate ligament is completely torn. The posterior cruciate ligament is normal. You can see that there is a presence of posterior meniscofemoral ligament or ligament of Brisbane in this case, which is going towards the posterior horn of lateral meniscus. So there is complete thickness tear involving femoral attachment of anterior cruciate ligament. We can see that in coronal plane also. So here is the anterior cruciate ligament which is torn. It is attached with its tibial attachment, but the femoral attachment is completely torn. We have a sagittal oblique sequence in this case. So let's see how the sagittal oblique sequence is acquired. So when we talk about the orthogonal sagittal plane, then it is acquired in this fashion. But the sagittal oblique plane is acquired parallel to the wall of lateral femoral condyle. So this is the sagittal oblique sequence, and the torn anterior cruciate ligament is better delineated on this sequence. So if we can take this sequence if we have time and there is suspicion of ACL trauma. Now coming to the menisci. So in lateral meniscus we have a horizontal linear hyperintensity involving the anterior horn, and there is a small parameniscal cyst associated with it. So there is horizontal tear with parameniscal cyst. On medial side, the meniscocapsular junction is showing hyperintensity. So there is sprain involving the posterior joint capsule at its attachment with the medial meniscus. So meniscocapsular junction is showing sprain. So there is hyperintensity here. The region of posterior oblique and oblique popliteal ligament. So there is a sprain of the structures in the posteromedial convex. The medial collateral ligament is relatively intact. There is no edema overlying or underlying it. Then talking about the lateral collateral ligament. So this is lateral collateral ligament. It is hypointense, so it is normal. And this is the tendon of biceps femoris. So both these structures are normal. This is the popliteal tendon. So there is slight amount of edema posterior to the popliteal tendon. So we can say that there is some trauma involving the arcuate ligament. So the posterolateral corner structures are not entirely normal. There is edema overlying the popliteal tendon involving the arcuate ligament in this case. So in this patient we have acute ACL tear. Then we have horizontal meniscal tear with parameniscal cyst and meniscocapsular separation and sprain involving the posteromedial and posterolateral corner structures. And there is moderate joint diffusion. There is no obvious anterior tibial translation. However, we can see there is a subtle notch sign seen here. It is not very deep. Okay, so next case. So we have a case of 31-year-old female who presented with knee pain and instability 2 months after trauma. So this is a case of chronic ACL tear So as I've already described that when we follow the when we follow a case of acute ACL tear, so with time the effusion is going to decrease, marrow edema is going to decrease. So in this case, because she is a case of chronic ACL injury, so there is no obvious joint effusion seen here. There is no subcutaneous edema, there is no marrow edema, and in the region of anterior cruciate ligament, we are not seeing any inhomogeneous hyperintensity that we saw in cases of acute ACL tear. And the torn ligament is lying over the tibial plateau. So, and there is no femoral attachment of the anterior cruciate ligament. So, the ACL is completely torn at its proximal attachment. And so, this is a case of chronic ACL tear. You can see this is medial meniscus. This is lateral meniscus. So the menisci are intact. Posterior cruciate ligament is normal, and the other bony structures are also normal. There is no marrow edema because she is a case of chronic ACL tear. Okay, so let's move to next case. Okay, so this patient is a 22-year-old male. So he is a young male, and he presented 2 days after trauma. So we can see there is a bony fragment lying over here. So there is bony avulsion fracture at the tibial attachment of anterior cruciate ligament, and this bony fragment has distracted from its donor side. So there is avulsion fracture involving the ACL tibial attachment, and there is another bony fragment also seen adjacent to it. So let's see GRE. So this is a large bony fragment, and there is a small bony fragment, and there is complete avulsion of the anterior cruciate ligament from its tibial attachment with bony fragment. So these type of avulsion fractures are generally seen in young patients. So he is a 22-year-old male. So you can see here how the bone has avulsed out from its side. Talking about posterior cruciate ligament is relatively intact. There is no obvious anterior translation of tibia, but we can see marrow edema in the posterolateral and lateral tibial plateau and lateral fibular condyle. Lateral meniscus is intact. In the medial meniscus, we can see some subtle hyperintensity in the posterior horn. So there is hyperintensity involving the posterior horn, but it's not touching any articular surface, so we cannot classify it as tear. Let's see the posteromedial corner here. Okay, so this is the medial collateral ligament, and then there is a slight hyperintensity in the posterior oblique ligament. So there is a sprain involving the posteromedial corner structures. However, rest of the areas are normal. There is slight edema overlying the superficial medial collateral ligament. Coming to the posterolateral corner, there is no obvious edema adjacent to the posterolateral corner structures. Okay, so this was a case of avulsion fracture at the tibial attachment site of anterior cruciate ligament. Coming to next case. This is a case of 39-year-old male, and he also presented in about 1 month after trauma, and there is a large bony fragment present here near the tibial attachment site of posterior cruciate ligament. So the tibial attachment site of PCL is completely avulsed along with a bony fragment with it. So there is avulsion fracture involving the tibial attachment site of posterior cruciate ligament. So these bony avulsions are more common on the tibial side. It is very rare to see a femoral attachment avulsion fracture. So in this patient we can see, let's see that in GRE. So this is a large bony fragment, and there are multiple other tiny bony fragments adjacent to it. As we can see that there is a small bony fragment in the anterior aspect of intercondylar notch. And the rest of the posterior cruciate ligament is thickened and hyperintense. The anterior cruciate ligament is also thickened and hyperintense and showing sprain or partial tear. And this is the posterior horn of medial meniscus is showing subtle areas of hyperintensity. The meniscocapsular junction is showing hyperintensity here. So the posteromedial corner structures are also showing sprain. The lateral meniscus is relatively intact. There is slight waviness in the popliteal tendon here. So there is trauma involved in the posterolateral corner. Popliteal tendon is slightly wavy, however, it is not showing any gross discontinuity. And there is no obvious edema here because the patient presented quite some time after the trauma, so the edema has subsided. But there is subtle edema present here, so we can say that the patient suffered from a posterolateral corner injury along with the cruciate ligament tear. This is the lateral collateral ligament. It is wavy, but it is intact. You can see that in axial plane. This is lateral collateral ligament. This is its fibular attachment, and here it is femoral attachment. So it is normal. So this was a case of avulsion fracture of the posterior cruciate ligament. Now coming to next case. Okay, so this is also a case of chronic ACL tear, and as we can see, there is no obvious edema involving the bones, and the anterior cruciate ligament is not visualized; it's completely gone. It is lying over the tibial plateau. There is no obvious edema located in the intercondylar notch. So, and there is no obvious gross joint diffusion seen. The posterior cruciate ligament is showing buckling and the question mark sign. This is the secondary feature of complete ACL tear. And we can see here in the lateral aspect, there is gross anterior translation of tibia. So we can measure this. So we draw a tangent to the lateral femoral condyle, then we draw a tangent to the lateral tibial plateau, and we measure the distance between these two lines. In this case, this is 17 mm, which is quite large anterior translation of tibia. So we say that there is anterior translation of tibia when there is 7 mm translation anteriorly, but in this case it is 17 mm. So there is a gross anterior translation of tibia. And the medial meniscus is completely macerated in the region of posterior horn and body. And we can see that there is osteophytic spurring also seen. So this is a patient's age is 33 years, but we are seeing osteophytes in this. So the patient is developing secondary osteoarthritis. Let's see in coronal plane. So in coronal plane also we can see the meniscus is completely gone. The medial meniscus is completely gone. The joint space is reduced, and the cartilage on the medial side is showing hyperintensity on PD fat set, so it's showing fibrillation and defects. The patient is developing secondary osteoarthritis as a result of ACL and meniscal tear. The meniscus acts as a cushion between femur and tibia, and if it is gone, it leads to abnormal loading of the joint, and it can lead to cartilage degeneration and osteoarthritis. Okay, so let's move to another case. Okay, so in this case, she's a case of acute ACL tear, and as we can see, there is complete tear involving the femoral attachment of the anterior cruciate ligament, and the fibers are displaced anteriorly. So there is anterior displacement of the torn fibers, and we need to mention this in our report that there is anterior displacement of the torn fibers. And the tibial attachment of anterior cruciate ligament is intact, but the femoral attachment is gone. Posterior cruciate ligament is relatively intact. There is marrow edema in the posterolateral tibial plateau, which is characteristic of the pivot shift injury. And there is edema in the inferior half of patella. There is joint diffusion. The lateral meniscus is normal. Medial meniscus is showing subtle areas of intra-substance hyperintensity. There is capsular sprain here. So in this case, it is important to mention that the fibers have displaced anteriorly into the half of our bed. Let's move to next case. Okay, so this is a case of again acute ACL tear, and we are not able to see any normal meniscal tissue in the region of anterior cruciate ligament. The PCL is slightly buckled. It is a characteristic notch sign seen in the lateral femoral condyle, and there is underlying marrow edema. So this notch is abnormally deepened. There is edema in the posterolateral tibial plateau. There is a complex tear involving the lateral menisci. So we can see there are two meniscal fragments here. So this is a complex bucket handle tear in which the entire posterior horn has come anteriorly. And this is the abdominal meniscal fragment in the intercondylar notch. I'm not going into much detail in the bucket handle tear, and I will address that in my lecture dealing with the meniscal tear. Okay, so in this case, there was acute ACL tear, complex lateral meniscal tear, and we can see the beautiful notch sign seen. Coming to next case. This is the last case. So this is a case of 35-year-old female who presented with restriction in the knee movement, and there is no history of trauma. So as we can see, the anterior cruciate ligament is grossly thickened, and it is hyperintense. It is showing ciliary stalk pattern. So this is a case of mucoid degeneration of the anterior cruciate ligament, and we can see that there is a complex cystic lesion in relationship with the anterior cruciate ligament. So this is a complex ganglion cyst. It has formed because of this mucoid degeneration. So the posterior cruciate ligament is normal. This is the posterior meniscofemoral ligament, which is going towards its attachment over the posterior horn of lateral meniscus. Lateral meniscus is normal. There is complex cystic areas seen adjacent to the lateral meniscus, but there is no obvious tear seen in the lateral meniscus. This is medial meniscus, which is completely normal. So the main imaging feature in this patient is the anterior cruciate ligament mucoid degeneration and the complex ganglion cyst formed because of this mucoid degeneration. So mucoid degeneration of ACL can be symptomatic or can be asymptomatic. It can lead to the abdominal restriction of knee joint movement. It can lead to formation of ganglion cyst, and both these entities can cause symptoms in the patient associated with the restricted joint movement. So I have described about various imaging features of the cruciate ligament tear, and I showed you cases of the acute ACL tear, chronic ACL tear, bony avulsion fractures involving ACL attachment site and posterior cruciate ligament site. Then I showed you a case of mucoid degeneration with a ganglion cyst. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.